Hi everybody, long time no see. Now, okay, we're using this channel to answer questions that you've asked on the Aikido Flow channel. So all the questions we can't answer, which have nothing to do with Aikido, we're going to bring them here and answer them. Now, I get a lot of questions, we get a lot of questions, which are just not Aikido related. So today, we're going to answer another question. Okay, it's more of a bit of a personal one, probably directed to me directly. What are the best clubs and worst clubs you have worked at? Okay, now, as you know, I'm sure you know from the Aikido Flow channel, I've said it so many times, I used to be a bouncer, you know, okay? Well, yeah, I stopped bouncing a while ago, but I was a bouncer for about 25 years, okay? Now, we'll start with the best clubs. The best clubs I worked at was probably, I would say there's two. Now, I would say best one, Bar Rumba, okay? Bar Rumba, Shaftesbury Avenue, Central London. The reason why that place was so good was because on a Sunday, there was a hip hop and R&B night and the music was so good, okay? Music was brilliant, atmosphere was brilliant. Now this club is quite small, you go down the stairs, it's kind of in the basement, it got really hot down there, they had all these fans in the corner. This was years ago, I think I worked there probably around 2001, maybe 2001 or 2000. So it was a long time ago. But the music, the atmosphere was so good. People came, you know, these days you go to clubs, people go there, you know, I don't know, the pop bottles, they're chatting up girls. In Bar Rumba, people came for the music. It was all about the music and the atmosphere and, you know, you weren't coming there to try and get girls and blah, blah, blah. It's just the atmosphere was nice. People there were nice. You know, it was just a really nice atmosphere. The management was brilliant, okay? You know, brilliant managers there, apart from one. I'm not going to mention his name, some blonde-haired guy. But the management, most of them were just brilliant, okay? Also, what was so good about Bar Rumba was the security I worked with. I met genuine friends there, you know, people like Kodor, Massimo, Danny, you know, Andy. I met genuine friends there from Bar Rumba, and the security team there were just amazing. Another brilliant club I worked at was Tiger. Tiger was there probably, I think 2002 onwards to maybe 2004. Then I left for a good few years and I came back there again. I worked there for another couple of years. But that also had brilliant management. You know, Darren, Jason, Richard. There were so many decent managers there, you know. And they had a lot of managers. A lot were in and out. I couldn't mention them all. But brilliant managers there. Great atmosphere. It was a big club. It had several different rooms with different music in the rooms. And it was always just a nice vibe. It was just a nice atmosphere. It wasn't really my kind of music. It was kind of like pop, kind of cheesy music and stuff like that. But there again, the doorman I worked with, you know, people like Mo and, you know, Paul, Tom, John, you know, great guys, great guys. I think what makes a good club is the atmosphere, the clientele, but mainly the security you work with and the management. That's what makes a great club. So those were the best, okay? Now, the worst. The worst. Now, the worst one I probably worked at was, one of the worst was elbow rooms, but not because it was a bad club. I actually really enjoyed it. You know, the music was good on a Sunday night. The management were brilliant. Great management there. It was privately owned as well, but unfortunately we had a few incidents there which eventually got the club closed down, and it was could be rough at times. That's why I will put it as one of the worst, just for those reasons. But the worst club I worked at was a club called Public in Kensington. It was so pretentious. The reason why it was so bad was because they really picked and choose. They're really picky about who they let in, and and we were just there just to be there, probably because we had to be there. It was the people who run the guest list that controlled everything, and they would turn people down for the sake of turning people down, because they always wanted to, it seemed to me like they wanted to maintain this image that this club is exclusive and hard to get into, and if you get in here, you're lucky. It was full of those people from Made in Chelsea, that TV show, because it was right in Chelsea, and they would always get in, no problems, but perfectly fine bunch of people, they would just turn them away just for the sake of it, just to keep that image up. But it was just so pretentious. It actually really got on my nerves working there. The kind of people that were there weren't my people. The one good thing that came out of that club was Phil, the head doorman. He was a really good guy. But apart from that, nah. I couldn't wait to get out of that place. I hated working in that place. And yeah, I would never go back there again. So in conclusion, they're good clubs, bad clubs. I worked in loads of clubs. Most of them are pretty much average. But, I think when it comes to working in security, if you ever plan on getting into security, the most important thing is the team you work with. If you've got a good team around you, you can have so much fun. It's just fun just interacting with your mates and just, having good times and watching each other's backs. And so often it's not even about the actual club. It's just about the people you work with.